Welcome to Belief, Being, and Beyond with your host, Granddaughter Crow. As the Veil Thins series, join us as Granddaughter Crow interviews spiritual leaders in riveting conversations about this time of year. Hi, everybody. Granddaughter Crow here, and it's time for yet another Belief, Being, and Beyond. And I've got to tell you something that I am bringing to you with a bunch of wonderful people. This month, October 2025, every Saturday night at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I'm going to release one of four series called As the Veil Thins. And we're going to be talking all about this month, this time of year. I mean, I have some wonderful guests. Today we're going to be interviewing a Jenny C. Bell, which I will talk to you about in just a minute. Also, on October 11th, we're going to have Nikki Wardwell Sleeth, who's going to be talking to us about death and the unseen world. Also, October 18th, tune in for we have Jamie Wagner. She is the author of Hades, and she talks to us about the wild hunt. Like, these are great topics. And then, of course, we have the Blue Witch, Laura Gonzalez. She's my sister cousin. I love her, talking to us on October 25th about Dias de los Muertes. So, you guys, tune in. It's wherever you get your podcast. However, if you go to Granddaughter Crow on YouTube, yes, I have a YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, share, whatever you want to do, hit the notification button because these are going to premiere on YouTube. Now, it's not going to be live, but the chat will be live and I will be in there celebrating with you. I am so excited. Of course, if all of that just flew over you and you're like, what? What did that Granddaughter Crow call at me? Just go to www.granddaughtercrow under events and you will see all the details. Always feel free to ask me any questions, but I am going to bring to you beautiful seasonal information to sate your curious minds with As the Veil Thins. So, that being said, we have our first guest with us today for As the Veil Thins. We, once again, I know you've seen her. I know you guys love her. She is a wonderful person. Today I have Jenny C. Bell with me today. She is the author of Spirit Crystals, Discover Your Crystal Guide for Healing and Empowerment. That just released September 2025, and yet she has another one coming out. Divergent Witchcraft. Yeah, you heard me. Divergent Witchcraft, an inclusion approach to magic. And that's coming out in spring of 2026. She also is the founder of Our Coven online community. We'll talk a little bit about that towards the end of the show. Hosts the Cozy Coven Chats podcast. She's been a practicing witch for 3 decades. Jenny has practiced yoga, meditation, reading the tarot cards, and her working with spirit crystals. And you know what I love about when she reads the tarot cards? She goes, "Oh, I'm a fortune teller. I'm a fortune." She's bringing back the old school fortune teller. So anyway, Jenny, blah, blah, blah. I'm so happy to have you. I know. I ran through all of that. I'm so happy to have you. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you. And that was so impressive. Like, so impressive to run through all that. Very professional. I have to say, I admire it as a fellow podcast host. I wanted to say that today I'm officially putting on my witch's hat for this conversation. So, for those that can see me,
Season.
it's a literal hat.
Pause the recording. Go get your witchy hat. Go get your witch's broom. We're going to kick off October 2025 as the veil thins right now with Jenny C. Bell, certified witch with her
Thank
beautiful
you.
witch hat jump over to the YouTube channel if you want to take a look at it. I think it has an owl on it. Does it have an owl on
It
it?
does. It does.
Ooh, that's so perfect. So, Jenny, what I would love to chat with you about is Samhain. I want to talk. Okay, what is Samhain, people? Maybe Jenny can tell us. Halloween is another term,
Mhm.
but this year, and the veil is thinning. Could you kind of let the audience know what is Samhain? What is Halloween? Why are you wearing a witch hat? Why does it have an owl on it? What's going on, Jenny C. Bell?
Well, I am wearing, let's start with that. I'm wearing a witch hat with an owl on it purely for fun and joy because we like to have a good time over here. Um,
Absolutely.
I decided a few Halloweens back that I would just be a witch every year because why not? And so I invested in a nice, it was made on Etsy. It's like a really nice hat. And I chose the owl because that's one of my favorite animals. And I'm sure like if you're not familiar, there's a lot of superstitions about witches and owls. And some people actually fear owls because of that. We've talked about that before. But yeah, so that's why. But before we jump right into Samhain, I just want to give everybody a quick background on the Witch's Wheel of the Year or the Sabbats, because I think that will help them understand Samhain a little more. So, we have something in witchcraft called the Witch's Wheel of the Year, which are 8 Sabbats that we celebrate. And this is not everyone. So witchcraft is very, very open. And some witches do one way and some witches do another way. The Witch's Wheel was kind of put together in the Wiccan movement. So Wicca is a religion that is based off of kind of neo-paganism and witchcraft. And so this wheel was put together by like Gerald Gardner and those type of occultists as a way of trying to legitimize witchcraft and also kind of give it more of a religion. Like, every religion has holidays. So he was kind of pulling from different places. And so we have the witch's wheel, which is the 2 equinoxes and the 2 solstices. And then we have what are called the cross quarter days. And those are usually like smack dab in the middle of those others. So, for instance, Samhain is right in the middle of the fall equinox and the winter solstice. So, it's a cross quarter day.
I love that. I mean, 8 holidays to celebrate.
Yeah, and so personally, like I don't get too hung up on the days, like the names, If people are struggling with the word Samhain, it's I think it's Gaelic. It comes from Ireland, and I believe it means November. Like it was their name for the month of November. And so it was kind of borrowed. A lot of these terms like Mabon, Samhain, they were just kind of borrowed and put together into the wheel. So if people feel more comfortable using Halloween, because that's what they grew up with, that's totally fine. Technically, Halloween is on October 31st and Samhain is on November 1st. So technically they are different, but every witch just do your own witchy thing. Like if Halloween's the day for you to celebrate, it's fine. Because as we talked about, the veil is thinning and that begins to thin really like right after autumn equinox. I feel like a lot of people start to feel that thinning. And that thinning is, kind of what this whole podcast is about, right? This whole little series. And that has been celebrated by witches and Samhain for a long time.
I love it. So as the veil thins, a lot of different people who are just entering into, figuring this whole thing out, or they've been practicing, their path for like 10 years and they never felt like, ooh, what is this freaking veil that everybody's talking about and why is it getting thinner? Like, what is that? And so I'm asking everyone, how do you, Jenny C. Bell, perceive the veil and the thinning of the veil, and what does that mean?
Yeah, that's a great question. I get that asked a lot in our coven because it's a very like mysterious name, right? Like the veil is thin. It sounds so mysterious, and people are like, what does that mean? And does it only happen at Samhain? And the answer is no. It also happens on the other side of the year, which would be Beltane, which is between spring and summer. So we have two cross-quarter days that actually celebrate the thinning of the veil. But Samhain is more popular because Samhain lines up with Halloween and the Day of the Dead and some other holidays that honor ancestors past and others that have passed away. And so that why is I think why it's more popular. Even Catholics celebrate like All Souls Day around this time. Like it's everybody's lining up for this celebration of those that have passed away and the celebration of death and the dead and ancestors and ancestor veneration. And so when we say when the veil is thinning, um, witches take for truth, most witches, not all, but most, and shamans I know too, take for truth that there is an invisible world. That we are attracted to this, I think, path because the invisible world has called to us. We've seen signs of the invisible world. We've communicated with the invisible world. And the invisible world is spirits, it's ancestors, it's guides, it's angels, it's dragons, it's ghosts, it's deities, it's so much, right? And so we work to connect with that invisible world. Like when we say, oh, I saw a sign and the sign means this, the invisible world's communicating with us. And we, as spiritual people, as witches, take that as meaning and honor that instead of just being like, oh, I keep seeing this crow everywhere and hearing a caw, but it doesn't mean anything.
But I do mean something. I mean so
Exactly.
much.
Exactly.
I love it. It's one of those times that I love that you said that because it's not just witches or pagans that talk about this thinning of the veil. Maybe other belief systems may not call it that, but there is like the All Souls Day and the Day of the Dead and this understanding that we are changing in the natural world into, oh, it's getting darker outside and things like that. So now, oh yeah, and there's one more thing. People, whether you want to celebrate Halloween on October 31st or November 1st is fine because Granddaughter Crow is going to be celebrating it from October 1st through November 1st or maybe even the 3rd. So let's have some fun.
Exactly.
What can we do? Well, like, what are we celebrating? Like, what are we supposed to be celebrating during this time of year with the veil thinning and Samhain and Day of the Dead and what are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to approach that? Why are we so happy about it?
Well, so I personally really like working with people who have passed away, and I really like death deities. And so, I know you're having a guest on here to talk about the Wild Hunt, and the book on Hades. And so anybody that works with dark goddesses or underworld deities or ancestors who have passed on or has a spirit guide who is someone that passed on, we're all working with beings or agents of death. And so what I like about witchcraft is that it doesn't like take death and like brush it under the rug. We take this time of year to know and just acknowledge that death is part of life and there is no life without death and there's no death without life. And it's this whole, we see it as a cycle. And that's why we have the wheel. And Samhain begins kind of the death time. So we have the autumn equinox when all the leaves are falling and things are dying and animals are going into hibernation. It's all getting prepared. And then Samhain is that last harvest. It's that last moment before winter comes, which is really like, if we look at Mother Earth, she's sort of dead at that time. Like a lot's going on underground, but trees appear dead. They're not. But there's a lot of this kind of death imagery and feelings of going within, and it's darker and all of that. And so Samhain invites us to process death in our lives. So it could be like an actual loved one who has passed. It could be a part of you that passed this year. So, if you're looking at, okay, I'm at Samhain, I haven't had any loved ones pass away this year, but I did give up this really horrible habit that I wanted to, and that part of me died, or I changed jobs and that career is dead to me and I'm onto something new. So it's a time to investigate death with curiosity and not fear.
I love that. And I really love that you took it even to the little deaths that we have in our
Yeah.
own life because, some people are wanting to dive right in, with a dark goddess and, let's summon up, my ancestors.
Yeah.
I'm there with you. I am there with you. But then there are some heightened sensitivities around, oh, I was told never to talk about that stuff. And so but I'm curious. So I really even really enjoy how you kind of brought it home to people that they don't have to worry about getting out a Ouija board and now we're going to summon Aunt Beth or whatever, and she's going to tell us where her treasure is or whatever it is, because you could have a lot of fun people with respect and all of that. But I like that you're kind of bringing it home and going, what part of me am I going to honor that has died this year or that is dying? And it could be like an old belief system, or like one of the things that I always say is there is a price for wisdom, there's a price for knowledge, and that is your like naivety. That is your, ignorance. And being ignorant sometimes is bliss because you don't know. But I still seek knowledge and I like to celebrate the death of my own ignorance at times.
Yes.
So how do we do it? Like, I mean, beyond how does a witch approach even baby witches or old witches, whatever you are? How do you make the shift between Halloween and Samhain? Like, okay, we've got the tradition. We buy the candy, we dress up, bob for apples, jack-o'-lanterns, ghosts. And that's all actually during this time of year is very like, oh yeah, I'm a ghost this year. Hey, I'm a witch this year. And they have no idea what they're doing, but it's a lot of fun. And then how do you take it to make it more meaningful or spiritual or have meaning? What's the difference between how they're celebrating it and how you would celebrate it? Or is there a bridge and you do both? Or what's the difference? How do we step into the spooky Samhain from the Halloween candy?
Well, I love that. I think Halloween derives from ancestral celebrations, right? So, for as far as I understand, there originally people would carve turnips because pumpkins are not native to Europe, and they would carve faces to either, there's different conflicting information. So, it's either to ward off spirits they didn't want visiting, or they would put the light in them to welcome the ancestors back home. And
Oh,
so you can read, you'll see both information in there. And then, dressing up was another way to confuse spirits and to protect people. It's the same thing about like just a quick spiritual protection is giving yourself a spiritual name that you don't tell anybody. So if someone curses you by name, it doesn't have any effect on you, right? And so it's kind of similar. It's like I'm gonna dress up in this, as a ghost, and you don't know who I am, and you can't get to me. It was kind of, this confusion aspect. Something that can be is so simple, and you can do this with children because a lot of times, if you're a parent, you want to celebrate Halloween, and you're like really tired the next day for Samhain is to carve your jack-o'-lantern in a way that is spiritual. And so that could be that you all are carving and you're doing a rune or you're doing a sigil or you're doing like a symbol of something. Or you're taking it as an opportunity to face a fear. So maybe you're really afraid of death. And so you carve a skull on that pumpkin as a ritual of releasing that fear and then you're putting a light in it to let go of that fear. Or, you can also carve them for ancestors. You could, my uncle so and so, my uncle Billy actually passed away this year. And my uncle Billy, he was very proud to be Irish. He was a big Irishman. He was very funny. And so something I could do is, make a very Irish looking pumpkin with like a four-leaf clover, the Irish flag, and that could be my way of honoring him. But I can still participate with Halloween, and no one's gonna go, oh, she's doing witchcraft. Like it just is just part of the Halloween season. And that's kind of where I'm at in life is like, how can I blend things? I use Halloween and Samhain, those terms interchangeably, because to me it's the season. Like we're in the season of the witch, which is my favorite time to shine. And I can go out and people are like, "Oh, I love your costume." It's like it's not a costume. It's the time of year where like I have a ghost phone case all the time, but people are like, "Oh, I love your phone case, so seasonal."
Right, right. They only see it in
Yeah.
October. I
Yes.
love that because it's funny. I used to work for the state of Colorado for a short stint, and it fell on Halloween, and they said, let's all dress up. So I went as Granddaughter Crow, and everybody loved my little Pocahontas outfit. She's a shaman. And I'm just like, actually, kids, I just don't have to change before I go to the shop and read people's cards and do fortune telling. So this is actually me. And I find so much charm in that. It's a little, I'm like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, I duped you guys. Now you see me. It's not that scary, is it? It's like so much fun. So what I'm actually hearing you say is that it's really not necessarily just what you're doing, but it's the meaning that you're putting behind it. I love that idea of putting in, for the Irish and the four-leaf clover and things like that. So what I do, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this. What me and my husband do is we have a silent feast.
Yes.
We have a silent feast. And for those of you who don't know, I'll just kind of quickly introduce, but Jenny looked so happy about that. So I know that she's got some ideas to say. So basically, there's many different ways to do it. I'll just share the way that me and my husband do it. We have a pretty long table and it seats eight. And there's only two of us, right? And so on that night, on Samhain night, we will set the table fully set, plates and all. And the way we do it is, okay, my husband, he's a wolf totem. I'm all, hey wolf, you get to invite three people, and I get to invite three people. And we literally make a place. And and the sun goes down, we light candles and we sit in silence and eat with whomever it was that we invited. Now, it could be, somebody that like an ancestor. It could be a deity. It could be a hero that you have that you want to talk to. So we kind of just do that, and it is so cool. And then afterward, I mean, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So what do you think about silent feasting?
I love it. We did our first virtual silent supper in our coven last year, where basically I said that if they had a photo of a loved one, they could share the photo, but if not, share the name and tell us a little bit about them. And then when we individually did our Samhain festivities or silent supper, we would speak about that person. And so even though we didn't know them in life, we would just honor them separately just as a way of having more than just you honor your loved one. And so that was kind of a fun. We'll probably do it again this year because people really liked that. It gave a lot of people, I think, it gives people closure. But I love that. And just so people know, your silent supper doesn't have to be silent if you don't want it to be. And something I like to do is usually make a food that honors the people that passed. And so I don't know, I don't need to do a lot of Irish cooking. So I'm gonna have to research. I usually do something very Italian because most of my family is Italian that's passed away.
Right.
Um, but Uncle Billy, I'll have to come up with something. He liked seafood, so maybe I'll do something like that. But I like to try to make a food that honors the person who most recently passed away. And not necessary, but I do love to cook, so it gives me like another reason to look up a new recipe. So, but I love
Absolutely. Absolutely. Another reason to look up new recipes. There should be a book. I mean, there's a lot of wonderful witchy cookbooks out there, but they should do whoever is out there who is a cook and an author, maybe Jenny herself, should do a whole book on silent feasting.
Yeah.
Yep. Wouldn't that be fun? Because that
We
would
need
just,
to we need to tag Dawn Aurora.
yes. Yeah, Kachina, Aurora, Dawn the Kitchen Witch, absolutely conversational witchcraft. You were just on her show talking about wonderful things. She is an Italiana witch and she is amazing. I work with her oils. She pre-charges them, not like cost charges them, but
Yeah,
energetically charges them. And absolutely. So, Dawn, if you're out there listening,
we have a book idea.
we have a book idea for you, my dear. Love you like you don't have enough on your plate, right? So, anyway, yeah, with even congregating and hailing, honoring, remembering ancestors,
Mm.
people who have passed on. And I know that it is a touchy situation because death and all of this kind of stuff. But the way that I look at it is one day I'm going to be them.
Exactly.
And I stand on their shoulders in this lifetime, their history, their experience, their wisdom. And one day, I hope in a very, very long time, maybe 50 years from now, somebody finds this old podcast, hears me talking about a silent feast, and invites Granddaughter Crow to your silent feast. I'll
That's
show
right.
up. I
Yeah,
love it.
and something that I get asked sometimes is, especially from people that don't know their ancestry, sometimes they are nervous to connect with ancestors because, like, what if my ancestors are mean? But I'll tell you, having like read a lot about mediumship and having connected with people who passed away, when someone passes, the life lessons they didn't learn in this life, they reflect on. So that's why it's, I think, sometimes easier for people to forgive those who passed away. But I'll just quickly talk about my own experience. My father didn't want anything to do with me. When my mom was pregnant with me, he denied that I was his, even though we all know I was. And then on the day that he was supposed to take a blood test, a paternity test, you didn't have to show ID back then, and he sent a friend because he didn't want to have to be involved. And so that was my whole life. And then I got curious one day and I Googled him and I found out he had passed away, like actually very recently. And I was like, that's really interesting. And I have a friend, my best friend Myra, hasn't really developed her mediumship because she works and is very busy, but she's very open and very, things come to her all the time. And she was doing readings for me to practice like pretty much every week. And my father was coming through every day. Like every time she did a reading, she'd be like, I had to explain the whole story, and she's like, yeah, he keeps coming through and he's wanting forgiveness and this and that. And it was just like, it was things like music would come in all the time at night. I found out he was a musician. I didn't know that. It was like things I had to like research and learn. And it was like a whole year. And it turned out he had died like 2 years prior to that. And I think what happened was he died, he reflected, he processed, and he was like, oh my gosh, I missed out on this person's life because I was stupid. You know what I mean? And so I think that's important to know is that people are often afraid to connect with their ancestry because they're like, what if they're abusive or what if they were terrible? A lot of our ancestors had it really rough, and I'm not excusing their behavior, but it was pre-therapy and it was pre like nutrition. Like a lot of them struggled with mental health for a variety of reasons. But I know for a fact that once they pass over, once they cross over, lessons get reflected, lessons get learned, and they are much more helpful from the other side.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that because I think that I agree with you. I agree with you. I have the experience where it's kind of like I feel like they're sitting in a movie theater and they got to watch their life from a different point of view or something. And if they can truly do it, then their soul evolves. And that's why I try to be a good girl because I don't know what I'm gonna see. I don't want to know what I'm gonna see on my reckoning day. No.
Yeah.
But another thing that just for anybody who's out there who is like, well, I'm not a witch, I practice something else or whatever, but I do connect with what you're saying, and I do want to honor a specific person or an ancestor. I'm thinking, and I'd like to hear what ways could you do that. One way that comes to my mind is I'm a firm believer that fire, a
Yeah.
candle lit, is seen through all space and time, multidimensional, when intention is set. And when I light a candle and speak a name, and inside of me, I truly believe that that person, wherever their energy is, at least sees a shooting star or something, and I'm connecting with them, I'm lighting it for them. So it could be as basic as, I don't have a medium, I don't play with the tarot, I don't know how to do this, but I do want to say, Grandma, I love you, thank you for teaching me how to make those cookies. It's as simple as lighting a tea light candle in your kitchen, by her recipe, and maybe putting a picture up. Do you, like, I know I just put you on the spot. Do you have any other ways that you would say that people could easily connect with and honor, respect their ancestors or anybody else that is on the other side of the veil?
Well, I love what you said because you could connect that with a jack-o'-lantern.
Well,
Because
there
you
you
could, yeah, you can light the candle in the jack-o'-lantern and be like, this is for you, Grandma. And it's like a twofer, right?
go,
Like
right?
it's with the Halloween theme. So I love that. I already talked about recipes, but I think eating the food, like I have this very I think I was a little emotional this day, but I had a step grandmother who treated me like as my own, and she's one of my guides, and she's always with me. Grandma Ann, shout out to Grandma Ann, and she was from the Czech Republic, and she would make what she called guamkis, and I'm probably saying them wrong, but basically it's a stuffed cabbage with pork and rice and a tomato sauce, and she'd bake it. And I'm vegetarian, so I don't eat pork, so I made them like a vegetarian style, and I have this very clear memory of sitting down, serving everyone for dinner, taking a bite, and just crying because it tasted like her food. I felt her presence with me. It was such a deep connection. It was like amazing. So, lighting a candle, making a recipe, if you have an object of theirs, like I have my grandma's doll, you can talk to the doll. Grandma, I love you. Give the doll a hug, a photograph. Sometimes we don't have those things because of however things were divided up amongst families. Sometimes we don't get any of that stuff. Something they would like. Like I talked about my Uncle Billy being Irish. Like I'm definitely, when he passed away, I went through a very big like Irish music phase. I'm like, this is for you, and I put it on every day. And I just like, because I also think that they stick around and they see, like, hear us. They see us like, wearing their scents. Like sometimes I'll catch a whiff of my grandmother's lipstick. Her lipstick had a very special smell. And I'm just like, oh, hey, grandma, like I know you're there. Talking to them. It can be as simple as just sitting down and saying, I don't know if you can hear me, but, and then say their name and say what you need to say. Say your piece.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And then you don't have to, I mean, some people will actually hear them, or do, like, some people will just be like, they'll get an idea to cook a meal, they'll join you in the kitchen. But also pay attention, because Jenny said something very interesting. A lot of times, spirit from the other side will come through songs.
Yes,
And so, random songs, when you hear a random song, or maybe there was a quirky thing that they did and then somebody else did it, and you're like, nobody else does that.
exactly.
Watch for those things and just say thank you.
Yes.
Just say thank you, and that you have a recognition towards them. So, in the last little bit, I do have a really strange question just because of the heightened
Love
sensitivity.
it.
Warding off unwanted spirits. Do you do anything to ward off or set sacred space? Or is there any keys that you would give us prior to tapping into, doing any of these things? So, just curious.
Yeah, so I'm extremely passionate about spiritual protection, and I talk about this all the time. We just did a live in our coven because, like, I would say I'm hyper vigilant, so much so that my psychic friend was like, "Hey, I need you to turn it down a notch because I can't connect to your guides." Like, it's like hyper vigilant. And so something I like to think about is, first of all, most people aren't really bothered by spirits, and so just I don't want to put fear into people. However, when you decide to engage in like works of divination or things like that, you do open yourself up to energy because you're asking to know, you're asking to see through the veil. When you're asking to see through the veil, anyone can come through the veil if you don't aren't careful. So for witches, we always cast what's called a ritual circle. And I actually have a YouTube video on how to do that. And so it's very simple. You don't have to believe in any deities. You can be an agnostic witch or secular witch. And we just connect to the four elements and create a circle, talking to the elements, asking them to protect us. And we talk about a circle, but it's really like a sphere. So like you envision it, around, above, and below. And so that's very simple. It's very accessible. I did bring a couple crystals with me to talk about for Samhain season. So smoky quartz is a really great protective crystal. So smoky quartz has a lot of great qualities, but in spirit crystals, it has the archetype, the medium. And so if we're looking for a crystal that's going to do a twofer for us, protect us, but also help us open up to talking to the loved ones and seeing through the veil, it would be smoky quartz and very accessible. And it ranges from color. So sometimes you'll get one so light it's almost like a clear quartz, and sometimes it's so dark you can't see through it. So I want people to know that if you find one and you're like, well, it's so light, it's probably real. And then just while we're on the subject, the other crystal I think is really great for this time is labradorite. And labradorite really opens you up to psychic abilities and your clear senses, but it's also protective. Something I say all the time in our coven are two things. All crystals are protective and all herbs are cleansing. So when in doubt, you can't go wrong.
I love that. All crystals are protective and all herbs are cleansing,
Cleansing.
healing,
Cleanse.
cleansing.
So if you're looking to cleanse your space, we can use any dried herb. If you're looking to add some spiritual protection, you can turn to any crystal
I
or stone.
love that.
Yeah.
And, just a public service announcement. If the crystal is sitting there and you've got somebody that you don't like and they are not being warded off, do the old-fashioned way and huck this at, no, I'm just kidding.
That's why I
All
like the bigger one.
stones, all stones are protective.
Yeah,
Literally, no.
literally.
Yeah, use your own judgment,
We
Don't,
don't
if you
condone
do,
violence here,
we
but
do not condone violence, just having a little bit of fun. And if you do throw a rock at somebody, please don't tell them that Granddaughter Crow sent you.
mm-mm.
So anyway, let me know what else do you have going on, like this season? What's going on with you?
Yeah, well, I have a live coming up that's free for everybody to attend. It's going to be through Zoom. And the best way to know about that live is to sign up for my free newsletter, which is at jennycbell.com. C is in the letter C. And it's just at the bottom of every page. Just sign up for that newsletter. You'll get a free tarot spread when you sign up. And then I only really email once a month. I like to do like a witchy newsletter with what the astrology is like and all of that. But in that newsletter, I will be hosting the Witches New Year portal where we're going to talk in depth about Samhain and how it's like a New Year energy, and we'll do a little meditation and a little live chat. And that's open to everybody. As long as you get the newsletter, you'll get the Zoom link. So I would love to cordially invite anybody on listening to the podcast if you want to know more about Samhain and join me. I'd love to have you there.
I love it. So you guys remember www.jennyc as in the letter C, Bell, Bell.com. Check out, sign up for her newsletter. And then do you have an idea of when this live will happen?
Yeah, it's going to
Or
be October 21st, which is
okay.
the new moon. So we're going to get the new moon energy and we're going to be entering closer to Samhain energy, but we're already in the veil thinning. So it's a powerful day.
I absolutely love that. So sign up before then. You have a few weeks, but might as well after you get off this podcast, go check it out. Lots of information. And also, so you have an online community that I really wanted to highlight because right now, as this podcast goes out, whether people are listening to it under, October or Samhain or anything like that, or in the future, maybe, you like what's being said. You like how Jenny throws down her magic. You like how she explains it. She actually does have an online community that you can do in the privacy of your own broom closet. Could you tell us a little bit more about our community, the coven, all of that?
Yeah, so first I want to say that we in our coven we're going to have our first guest, and everyone's super excited about it because it's Granddaughter Crow. So we're really excited, but she's going to talk to us about shamanism, and it's going to be a little live chat in there. But yeah, so our coven community, people can find out about that on the same website as the newsletter. And people can pick and choose their adventure. They can sign up just for 1 month if they want to catch the live with you, or they want to sign up for half a year, a whole year, however they want to kind of fix their journey is up to them. But it's something I created as a passion project. It was like, okay, so many solitary witches out there, or people who consider themselves witchy or beginner witches that don't really have resources where they are, or don't connect with the local resources for whatever reason, because the path is very varied. And sometimes we get people we just don't agree with or vibe with. It's just like any kind of religion or spirituality. And so I created this space. It's a private social media, meaning that people can't just like pop in and sell you stuff. And we do a live every month. We do a card reading every month. October is my favorite month to do card readings because I have so many Halloween Oracle and tarot cards. And this year I actually bought this vintage set of like their little sticks from the 1970s, and they're like witches fortune telling sticks. And so I'm using those, and they were still in the package. So that was like super exciting. It was like someone gave me an Etsy gift card and I saved it. I'm like, I'm saving this for something Halloween. And that was my purchase. So that'll be that's in the reading. And I don't know, like we do that. And then there's a huge library with like anything you could ever ask. And then we do a live chat. So we pretty much just check in every day with each other, share photos of feathers we find, and, share a card reading and be like, I don't understand what this means. Help me. It's just such a supportive group from people all over the globe. And the things, it's just like, it makes my heart happy because they do things like where we exchange readings. So I'll put up a tarot reading and be like, who would like to do a tarot reading for someone? It's free, and some of them Zoom, some of them do them and digitally and send them. But they built so many connections doing that and like have made really good friendships, and they share recipes. It's a sharing circle. It's what we would like a coven to be if it could be like a perfect kind of world, where you could just get together with like-minded people. And it was created because I wasn't jiving with my own area. And I was like, I need something. I need community. And so that's kind of where it came from.
I absolutely love it. Once again, www.jennycbell.com. Check out all the fun things, and sooner rather than later, because it sounds like there's a lot of fun things, including Granddaughter Crow showing up talking about shamanism. Whoop,
Yep.
whoop. I'm honored. I absolutely love it. So, in kind of wrapping up as the veil thins, I know I love it. Is there anything else that maybe comes to mind? That you would like to share with the community as this airs. And yeah, just let us know.
Yeah, I just want to say that if you've never tried any kind of fortune telling, you've never read cards, you've never done anything like that, but you've had an interest, this is the time. Like the veil thinning means that it's much easier for you to connect with your guides. It's much easier for you to be in tune and have stronger intuition. So if you have always been like, oh, or you've had that pack of tarot cards and you're like, I just didn't connect, try now. I feel like we get the best readings. In fact, because it's kind of like this new year energy for witches, it's a good time to do like a year ahead reading because you're going to get really deep insight right now. So yeah, and it doesn't just have to be cards, whatever you're into. There's something that's really fun is if you like to collect trinkets, is using charms to cast, like just cast them like a curio, because some people use like bones and things like that. But whatever, and you can assign different meaning to it. It's very open. That's really fun to do with a group because you kind of look at it together and be like, I think it means this. I have a set of milagros that are like olds from Mexico, and I use those. So it's like there's like a leg, there's like a heart. There's like a little boy and girl holding hands. It's like all this kind of, they're really open to interpretation. That's really fun to do like with a group setting too.
Love it. I think that the whole thing is if you haven't caught anything else, play, play, play. Be aware that the veil is thinning and join me as the Veil Thins series. Jenny, thank you so much for kicking off as the veil thins. And again, you guys, www.jennycbell.com and celebrate. Get more of a community around you so that you can celebrate. I love you guys, and I will see you in the live chat on the premiere. And anyway, have a wonderful Samhain Halloween season. I love you guys. See you on the flippity flip.